talking about some crazy stuff that I just watched. So just saw a segment with Nightcap talking about the Philadelphia Eagle OC position that's still wide open that nobody seems to want to take. And my biggest thing with that is because I watched Shannon and Ocho, and I know they got a job to do. You can't just directly or inadvertently attack people. But I would appreciate them if they call a spade a spade. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. He's an okay quarterback. He's the guy you can plug in here and there, gadget play, throw here and there. But he's not a guy you can depend on every Sunday in and out to make plays like that. That's not what he does. As you see the jersey I got on is Tua Tagovailoa. He's he's more of a traditional quarterback, but because of the way the Dolphins franchise is, he's not a dependable quarterback either. And I'm still a big fan of his, but I know when the chips on the table, he's not able to always, deliver. But this is about Jalen Hurts, man. I wish Shannon would call it what it is. The man won a Super Bowl MVP, but look at what he had on the team. Look at how well, what happened? Look, what are you about to do to your house? Oh. What are you looking for, a bowl? Yeah. You had one sitting.
I got some right here.
Oh. So you had one sitting. Ah! I'm gonna wash these for you and then put them over. Well, I'm gonna wash them and dry them out and then put them over there. Yeah, don't put in a bowl.
What?
I mean, not a bowl, put in the corner now.
Like this?
Yeah. I'm not one of them too. I know Cameron will eat majority of it, so for him, I gotta step ahead now.
You gotta add a little salt. So once it's like
So the season starting there, everybody has diabetes. Well, yeah, they just gotta call it what it is. Because when you got two dynamic threats like Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, and both of them are very disgruntled, then you got Saquon Barkley who repeatedly sat on the sideline looking like he was just distraught after having one of the greatest seasons probably in NFL history, you know, um, despite being alienated the last game of the season when they won the Super Bowl, they wouldn't let him in, but the offense looked completely different. And people want to say it's the play calling. Some of it has to do with play calling, yes. Majority of it is quarterback play. Teams figured them out. Teams understood if you completely slow down Saquon Barkley, you're going to win the game. Because Jalen Hurts is not going to throw for no 400 yards. He barely can put up 200 yards unless he hit you with chunk plays. So, in retrospect, that's why they lost in the damn divisional round to the 49ers. In that game, Jalen Hurts threw for 70 in the second half. 2 quarters. What is it, 30? So 75 yards and a half. He put up 35 would be 70. So almost 37 yards a quarter that he put up between the third and fourth quarter. So almost give himself 75 yards on the second half. That's ridiculous. He ended the game with like 150 or 180, I think it was, something like that. Really bad numbers. He had no touchdowns, but he had a pick. No, I don't think he threw a pick. He nearly threw a pick. I think he had a fumble or something like that. But San Francisco walked out of it with a victory. And the last play that we all remember was the Dallas Goedert play. He stared that man down and threw it and let Kendrick get back in his line of sight and almost pick that ball off. That's not what a quarterback does. But, again, they're not going to call out his deficiencies because it's going to make it look like, oh, well, he's attacking a black quarterback. Shannon was known for, any quarterback. Hell, the jersey I'm wearing right now, he said he was trash. Get him out of here. He needs to retire. Based on the injury, though, his injury history prompted that statement. It wasn't because of production, because of injury history. Now this year he was some trash. I mean, he had games where he had back to back 3 picks in a game. It's hard to defend that, but Jalen Hurts he isn't the answer in Philly. And I know he won a Super Bowl, and I know people gonna say, well, he's a Super Bowl MVP. But like somebody else brought up, who else won an MVP that was with the Eagles? Nick Foles. And what happened when Nick Foles went to another team? He crashed and burned. After Jacksonville gave him that big ass lucrative contract, did Jacksonville get to the playoffs? No. So it's all about the system that you're put into that will lead to your success. Case in point, Jalen Hurts got to Philly. They built around him by year 3. By year 5, he was a Super Bowl MVP and a Super Bowl champ, right? Because he went to Super Bowl back-to-back years. He lost to Kansas City, then he beat him. I think it might have been back-to-back years, if I'm not mistaken. But he still made it to the Super Bowl. He lost. Well, he should have won that Super Bowl. It was up by 10 points. And then he just collapsed down the stretch. Then he had another go at it, but this time they dominated the Eagles from start to finish. It was up 28-0 in the second quarter. And then they just cruised to a victory because his defense was astronomically way better than the Chiefs' offense. So they didn't have a hard time with the Chiefs. They had an easy streak. But to me, be fair. Your job, part of your job is to be fair. As Shannon always says, he calls it like he said. What he did today with that segment, that was clickbait. He wanted Ocho to go in there and act like a donkey. Talking he could be the next OC for Philly. Come on, bro. Don't start talking dumb. Just tell it like it is, man. I mean, it may be Jalen Hurts' time to move on to another team. Because next year, if he comes out there and Philly has the same result, then what are you going to say then? You can't blame the OC. You can't blame A.J. Brown in every situation. You can't blame Saquon Barkley. Because they had different segments. At one point, they even pointed to Saquon's decline and asked, was he the reason? What? Like, to say Saquon declined after 1 year, when you know damn well every defense in the league was going to be geared to stop him. Now, granted, they don't have the same line that they had the Super Bowl year. Understandable. But you're a guy that you paid that money to and that won the Super Bowl MVP should be able to uplift the team and get some dubs despite not having a solid running game. Because they gave Saquon his contract. But to be fair, sometimes the pass can help the run out. Because guess what guys will do? The defense will open up like an umbrella, which means the lanes are supposed to be more open. But when you cannot make those throws, the defense can do this to an offense. That line, those lanes will basically close up. And then where's he going to go? He's trying to make spectacular 2-3 yard runs that add up to 1 yard. That goes against him on the stat sheet because your quarterback is incapable of throwing you to a victory most games. But nobody wants to talk about that because he's black. Don't care about the color of your skin, man. I care about your performance on the field. He did this in college, which is why he lost the starting job to Tua Tagovailoa. Couldn't beat the man out in training camp. Couldn't beat him out. And people have this false narrative with Tua. Everything around him has to be perfect. But yet you got a dude that you put up there in Philadelphia that from after year 2, everything around him was perfect. Everything. The coaching staff, the guys on his team, defense, offense, special teams was perfect. And they went out there and won a Super Bowl. Had the best team, period. But you try to destroy his name by saying everything got to be perfect. And I seen this man play behind a line that gave him half a second to throw the football. He also played behind the same line that couldn't produce no 100-yard running backs. Raheem Mostert had 21 touchdowns in the season. But that's because you do the math. Most of his touchdowns came at the goal line. Most of them were not long-ass runs. They were not. They were goal line 5 yards and in when he ran it in. And he kept racking up touchdowns. Then you add the fact that we got Devon Achane. He had to run on the edges. He couldn't run between the tackles because nobody can block. Nobody seems to get on the run block, can push their guys up the level. No, he has to go on the seams or go along the edges and break out by wiggling his way to basically get his way down the field. And then he'll take off and outrun everybody. So we got to call it what it is, man. I mean, I don't wish anything terrible on Hurts at all. I want him to have a productive career, but he has to be willing to change the way he plays. If he's not going to be willing to change it, then I don't know how much further he can go. Because if this one the Super Bowl ain't enough. I don't ever think he's gonna make it to another one. Honestly, don't think that. Because he has to understand now the league is going to transform to something different. And not to mention now that you got Mike McDaniels in LA and you got all these new people that's around the league now that's basically gearing up these offenses to get better. Philadelphia's going to get left in the wind. I think Miami's going to take a big step. I don't know if they're going to be with Tua or not. I'm hoping that the coach will at least give Tua a valid competition to where he can win the job and where his line can be a lot better so he can redeem himself from this past season because he played like shit. But I also don't want the job to be handed to him because let's be real, he has to see who the receiving core going to be. And Jalen Waddle, he got to do something other than what he's been doing. Because, yeah, the man ain't good either. He's just not a number one receiver. I've said this all this year. He's a number 3 at best. You got to get a number 2 and a number 1 receiver depending on what Tyreek Hill does. And if I'm Miami, I'm no longer depending on Tyreek Hill. I need to go out there and get me a young guy that's 6'3" and above that's going to make those plays for me. That I know that Tua can drop back, look at the defense, and make the best throw. And, we'll go from there. Because this, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. But I was just disappointed by Shannon's take because I felt like he could have came with something a lot better. I think you might go for real. How do you do that? I throw some of his ass too. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but yeah, he's got to produce at a much better level because that wouldn't make no sense this past year. And although the Philly fan base ain't gonna want to admit it, it might be time for them to start looking for their quarterback in the 2027 class. Because if you think for one more year, AJ Brown or Devontae Smith continue to put up with this, they're not being made, where they're not given a chance to have a major impact on the offense, then you're fooling yourself. At the end of the day, yes, it's about winning, but it's also about the opportunity to get yourself better numbers and eventually making your mark in the league to where they won't forget your name. Even though, let's be real, 10 years from now, not many people will be talking about A.J. Brown or Saquon Barkley or whatever because they're going to be put in the same category as Randy Moss and other greats that played before them. That's what's going to happen. Because the newer generation only going to see the new ones that's in the league. They're not going to remember the names of these guys that's currently playing right now. They'll have to go back and Google it or YouTube it or whatever, if YouTube is still a thing. But I just think that they should, Nightcap should have had a better segment in that because I could tell Shannon was hesitant about what he wanted to say, but bro, just call it what it is. Call it what it is. The man didn't play great this year. The man's also the reason why they lost to the 49ers. You could see it in the game that he was not able to lift them up. And they kept looking in his direction for him to do something. And he kept that same stonewall look on his face that he had, like, well, I ain't getting with this hump, so unless the defense, and the defense created, I think they might have got like a turnover. I think they got a pick and a fumble, I believe. So they gave them opportunities to get back in the game. But Jalen Hurts he just couldn't answer. It's like the 49ers with what they had on that field, what they had was enough to keep him confused. And I'm like, but you're a Super Bowl MVP. You should be able to figure this out and move your team position to play for the NFC Championship game. Because that was the very next stop for them. But instead, we watched them go home, and then the questions started to surface about A.J. Brown. But I'm going to tell you, A.J. Brown is not wrong for his position. Because A.J., I think he sees the writing on the wall. He's seen that this team is going to go as far as the team is going to go as far as it can now with Jalen, and it's probably going to reach the end here soon. And he don't want the fan base to be cheated out of being dangled 11-win season only get put out in the postseason when you know you can go further than that. When you've been to the promised land and you walked on it, now you got put back out of it and you're trying to get back in the door. But your quarterback is no longer given the ability to get you there because he needs everything around him to be absolutely perfect. The line, the run play, the routes that they produce wide open throws for him where he won't be able to miss you. It's like, no, that ain't real football. So they got to figure something out because it ain't looking good. But that's all I want to say when I go on this live, guys. I finished cooking this stuff, but I'll produce a video tomorrow because I actually want to talk about the D-Rose situation, which I think is messed up. But I had a debate on Twitter about it, and I'm gonna see what you guys think about it. But anyway, guys, peace.